This is going to be the only checklist that you need to go from $5,000 per month to $30,000 per month inside of your video business. Now, this video is specifically for people already making at least $5,000 per month. So if you're underneath that, then this might be a little advanced for you, and you should just focus on getting your first few paying clients. But let's say that you've had a couple of paying clients at this point, you're making a little bit of money, but you're unable to hit that glorified $30,000 per month. Then this video is going to be for you. So I first want to cover this concept called the theory of constraints. I learned it from Alex Ramosi. This is his framework. But at acquisition.com, which is his company, the first thing that they do when trying to scale a business is first figure out what their main constraint is. Basically, what's the main thing that's limiting the business's growth? So if you feel like that you're working all of these hours, but you're not making any progress inside of your business, and it's just not growing as fast as you'd like it to, then that means that you're working on the wrong things and not fully focusing on solving that one constraint that will allow growth and flow inside of your business. A perfect example of this is when I was just a videographer a few years ago. I would literally spend hours and hours editing my own videos and clients' videos, and I was constantly going on shoots. I was working a lot, but my business wasn't really making any real progress. And that's because I thought that spending more time editing and just doing the actual work would equate to growth somehow. Like magically clients would start rolling in, bigger clients, we'd start making more money. So the first constraint that I needed to fix was to hire an editor, so I'm not editing all the time, and then use that spare time to figure out marketing, sales, and overall just business, so the business can grow faster and have more predictability, and so we can actually just make progress instead of just spending all of that time doing a task that isn't going to help me achieve the life that I want to achieve. So once you understand that concept, it's going to allow you to put all of your focus, time, and energy on figuring out what your main constraint is. Once you figure it out, you solve it. Now, if this is your first time on the channel, my name is Julian Corzo, and I've helped over 125 videographers scale their business to multiple six figures in the last 15 months, and I've worked with them on a one-on-one basis. And I've also scaled my video business to $50,000 per month. So with that being said, let's get into the checklist. So this checklist is built specifically for video businesses, videographers, content agencies, and creative agencies. Now, the first thing that we need to check off is we need to make sure that we are removing editing from your plate. I talk to so many people who are spending so much time and energy, whether it's editing the videos or managing one of their editors, they're still doing majority of the work. Now, that's a big problem, because if you're spending 20, 30, 40 hours per week, literally in the editing process, then you're wasting so much valuable time that you could use to focus on like other tasks that are going to yield a bigger impact inside of your business. And I always like use this analogy when I talk to like video businesses, and it's like, bro, like what do you think like Elon Musk would do in your business? Do you think Elon Musk would be editing in your business or like quality controlling those videos? No. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to remove editing from your plate. Now, how do we do this? The first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we hire a really good editor. A lot of videographers, just creative people in general, don't know how to hire editors. And if they do hire people, they'll hire the wrong person, and then they'll fire that person because like that editors didn't do well. And then they'll think to themselves, oh, you know what? I can't do this. I'm just going to like settle, and I'm just going to focus on doing the videos myself because you can't hire editors. When in reality, it is their fault. So the first thing that we need to do when hiring people is first we need to create a very specific job post. Now, up on the screen, I'm going to just kind of show you one of the job posts that we have when trying to hire editors, but we need to be very descriptive as to the type of editor that we want to hire. We also want to be very clear and very upfront as to how much we are going to be paying these editors. And we also just want to overall just talk about like the actual company culture. So we're just attracting the right people, right? So it's very important that you're very specific as to the type of person that you're looking for. Oh, we're looking for somebody who has a lot of attention to detail, somebody who has experience editing for 3 years, somebody who specifically edits, let's just say, real estate videos, X, Y, and Z. Once you have that set in stone, then we want to make sure that we have a hiring funnel. Just like you would have a marketing funnel to attract leads for your business, you want to do the same thing for team members. We want to add friction inside of the funnel, because the biggest problem people have is that they won't add any friction, and they'll get like tons of applications, and you can't really sort out between the people who are good or bad, because a lot of editors will use videos that aren't even theirs. Like, it's crazy. I have so many people hit me up. It's like, hey bro, like, was this editor good? And then they'll show me the editor, and they'll show a video of me that the editor like submitted, and I'm like, bro, that editor has never worked for me or has never edited my videos. So a lot of editors will do that. So you want to make sure that you tell tell your editors to submit a trial edit. And basically how you do this is you want to give them a project brief. Now, what's this project brief? You basically tell them about the specific edit. I want you to edit this video. I only want you to edit 20 seconds of it. I want you to include X, Y, and Z. Here's an example, and then here's the actual file for you to edit. If they don't submit the video, then you don't look at their application. And if they ask you, oh, is this a paid trial? You tell them no, bro, like don't, because you don't even want to work with those people. So you only set up interviews with the people who submitted videos, and that's it. Point is that you want to add a little bit of friction. There is a very specific way that you want to hire editors. Now, people always ask me, where do I hire editors? The luxury of having a very, not a very good, but like a good personal brand is it's very easy to attract talent because people want to work for me because of my personal brand, because I'm Core Zone Growth Online. So I pull a lot of my editors from my social media, but for the students inside of the program, there's multiple ways. So the biggest ones have been Discord groups and Facebook groups and Upwork. And basically what you want to do is you literally just want to put this job post everywhere. And that's why you want to add friction into your actual hiring funnel, because or else you're just gonna get a bunch of BS applicants and you're not gonna be able to tell whether they're good or bad. And then you're gonna hop on these one-on-one interviews, and like you don't want to hop on like 40 one-on-one interviews when all of them are like not good. That's why you want a very clear job description as to the type of people that you're trying to attract. Okay, great. You attract those people, take them through a hiring funnel, a process. You only look at the people that submitted videos. That's pretty much it. That's a very summarized version of how to hire editors. So the first thing we need to do, free up your time from editing so we can use that time to then do higher level tasks so we can think more clear instead of literally cooking your brain and cooking your eyes just looking at a screen editing. Okay. And then we move on to number 2, which is we need to figure out your offer. Okay. A lot of people get stuck under $10,000 per month, and it's because they don't have a clear offer. I preach this all the time to my students, but like you want to help rich people get richer. You want to help established businesses make more money. And it's because it's a lot easier. It's so much more easier working with somebody who pays you $5,000 per month and doesn't even look. They don't even question your price. It's like, yeah, awesome, boom. You get them great results, perfect. Versus working with somebody who isn't successful, who is, let's just say a beginner, and in the online terms, a brokey, and they only pay you $1,000 per month. Like, dude, that person is a nightmare to work with because they're always on top of you, X, Y, and Z. So in order to attract successful people, those successful people typically want to work with people who are experts at a specific thing. So that's why we need to figure out a very clear offer, because typically what videographers will do, it's like, hey, I just offer videos. Who needs videos? So they'll attract everybody. Doesn't matter who they are. They'll work with anyone and everyone. And that was me as well, right? I would work with real estate people. I would literally do weddings. I would do quinceañeras. I would do corporate videos. I would shoot cars. I would do drone videos. I would literally do everything because I was only known as the person who shoots videos. And you're never really going to be taken seriously as a person who shoots videos. Okay. So the first thing we need to figure out is we need to figure out the who, the what, and the how. So basically, who are we going to target? What are we going to do for them? And then how are we going to do that? Now, I have a 3-hour full course basically on like what we actually teach. Again, if this is your first time on the channel, we help videographers grow. And we go over the exact offer that's working right now, which is local service businesses. I tell you guys in that video what we offer them and how to offer it, or how to fulfill on that offer. I highly recommend that you go watch that video. So we need to have a clear offer in place, because once we have a clear offer in place, and then I'm going to talk about the importance of systemizing this later on, but once we have a clear offer in place, it's a lot easier to scale. It's a lot easier to raise our prices. It's a lot easier to get our clients great results. And it's also a lot easier for you to become really good at that offer, because I'm sure you've heard of this saying, but jack of all trades, but master of none. If you're offering all of these different services and you're never going to master any, and you're never going to be really good at something, and if you're not really good at something, then you're never going to like achieve greatness, because you're never going to be able to get your clients great results, because you have to focus on so many things. So once you have a clear offer in place, now it's time to actually market that offer and be known as that person, basically booking calls and lead generation, marketing yourself. Because if you're under 10K per month, then usually majority of videographers have gotten to that point, typically by not luck, but word of mouth, referrals. And that's not by luck. And the reason that's not by luck is because if people are referring you, that means that you're good at what you do, which is great, but you're going to hit a ceiling. So now we need to have a system, some sort of way to predictably get leads, to predictably book calls so we can make money. So we move on to step number 3, which is lead generation, right? So now we know the who, the what, and the how. Now it's all about, okay, let's market to that specific person. Now, the reason why we need to figure out the who first is because we need to make marketing material that's going to attract the who. All marketing is, guys, is understanding who your avatar is, understanding who your client is, understanding them like in such a deep level that you basically know everything about them. You know their pain points, you know their traumas, you know their goals, you know their aspirations. So you can make content, you can make ads that's going to position yourself as the solution to their problems. Once you learn that, marketing becomes a whole lot easier. To break this down in simple terms, let's just say I told you, hey man, sell this chocolate bar to your mom. You would know exactly how to do that. Why? It's because you know your mom. Like, you've lived with your mom majority or all of your life. So you would know exactly what to say, how to say it, how to convince her. And that's just because you know her at such a deep level. That's all marketing is. So lead generation, everything that we do is primarily through Instagram. Again, go watch that 3-hour course. It's going to be linked somewhere or down below in the description. I talk about exactly what type of content you should be posting and exactly the ads that we run, what's working. And I also have a recent case study video with G. He scaled from $10,000 per month to $40,000 per month in just 2 months using the exact system that we teach. Basically, it's what we call the content leverage funnel. It's leveraging content and ads to do all of the prospecting, nurturing, and selling for you. All marketing is attention generation. Majority of you guys aren't where you need to be because not enough people know about who you are. Okay, great. So now we need to generate attention. Once we generate attention, how do we do that? Paid ads, content. We then need to turn that attention into leads, people who are interested in what we have to offer. What a lead is a stranger taking some sort of action that allows us to contact them. So if they become a follower on our Instagram, they're a lead because now we can reach out to them. If they message us through the DMs, we can now contact them. They're a lead. They've showed some sort of interest. Or if they give us their name, email, and phone number, they also become a lead because we can now email them or message them via SMS, right? So the main thing we need to focus on is just lead generation and booking calls. Once you figure out what ads are working, what content's working, and you're getting calls on your calendar, right? You're like, wow, I'm actually getting leads. And this is like some of the biggest paradigm shifts for some of our students because like they would overthink the lead generation side so much. It's like, dude, like how do I generate leads? They start running ads for themselves and they all of a sudden start getting like interest. They start getting leads. They start booking calls and they're like, whoa. It's like, I literally have people who are now interested in what I have to offer. Anyways, once we're doing that, then we need a proven sales script and a proven sales process that we can use that's going to close all of these people, close all of these calls. Now, when it comes down to just sales is one of the most important skills that creatives need to learn. And I understand it's like, listen, I don't love sales either. And I think there's a big myth, out there in the online space being that you have to be like this really pushy sales guy to make money. Like if you've seen those Instagram videos of like people like handling these objections, but in reality, you don't. All sales really is diagnosing the business's problems, emphasizing the pain of those problems, and then providing them the solution to their problems, which is your service. So figure out what their problems are, dive deep into their problems, really make sure that you nail the pain points that like, hey, if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change. Like, what is this doing for your business? What is this doing for your personal life? Like really emphasize the pain. Once you figure out the problem, then you diagnose it and then you provide the solution. Also, you might fail on your first few calls. And that's perfectly fine. Do not get discouraged by that. It's all about learning. Now, the biggest thing that you can do on your first 5 calls is make sure that you record your calls using a software like Fireflies and make sure that you audit your sales calls. Watch them back, because when you watch them back and you also have somebody who knows sales review your calls, you'll start like, that is the easiest way to learn, because you'll listen to yourself saying things and you're just like, why did I say that? Or somewhere in the video, you'll be like, oh my God, why didn't I say that? Like there's just so many things that you'll learn from just literally analyzing your own sales calls. So make sure that you do that. Also, if you're using Fireflies, you can literally pull the transcript of the sales call, plug that into a custom GPT or really any GPT, just chat GPT, and you can tell it to analyze the sales call, give you a rating 1 out of 10 on how you did, but also help me improve my sales script and help me improve my objection handling. Basically telling ChatGPT, how can I improve the sales call and how can I answer questions better? ChatGPT is going to give you a whole report. And in that report, you can use to tweak your sales script, but you can also use that report support, to make more content, to make sales assets that you can send to the prospect before to just basically inform them more. All right. So that's basically number 4. That's the checklist. Make sure that you have a proven sales script and a proven sales process that's continuously going to be just tweaked. Always review your sales calls, always, be improving your sales scripts. And you can do that super easily now by just literally leveraging AI. The next thing is fulfillment and client success. So let's just say you have a good offer. It's validated. You're booking calls consistently. You're closing deals consistently. Now the biggest hurdle that you're going to run into is fulfillment. It's like, okay, how can I fulfill these clients now? Because a lot of the students that we work with, they'll get burnt out at around like $10,000 because they're doing everything themselves. So it's making sure that we have fulfillment dialed in, that we're getting our clients great results, and that we're just making sure overall that like, hey, we're not getting burnt out. So fulfillment and client success is basically everything in business, right? The reality is it's like so many people focus on this, and I see this from so many business owners, whether it's agencies, whether it's coaching businesses. They only focus on lead generation and sales, and they neglect client success. And once you neglect client success, like bad things will start to happen. What do I mean by that? You're gonna start to get like a bad reputation. It's like, oh yeah, I worked with this person, dude, it was awful, bad service, I didn't get any results. And you don't want that, because word of mouth is truly the most powerful thing. It can either benefit you or it can harm you, and we definitely don't want it to harm you. So we want to make sure that we dial in fulfillment and client success. And how do we do that? Well, we want to make sure, one, that we have a very seamless onboarding process. Your first impression on this client whenever you close them is so important, because when somebody hands you $10,000, you want to make sure that they don't have buyer's remorse like throughout like the first 72 hours. So whenever you close them, you want to make sure that you have a very professional, very seamless onboarding process that doesn't make you look like an amateur. So the prospect just feels like they made the right decision, because the last thing that you want to do, you close somebody, you have a very janky onboarding process. The prospect feels that, and then he starts to question himself or herself, did I make the right decision? We don't want that. So have a very seamless and professional onboarding process. And number 2, just overall make sure that you're getting your clients great results repeatedly. Once you figure out the solution, then you can just then productize that, right? And you can get better and better and better at it. And the way that you get better at fulfillment, guys, is again, making sure that you have a very clear offer, which is the what and the how. Make sure that you have that very clear. So you basically just become the best at that specific thing, because if you're offering everything custom to each person, then it's gonna be very hard to, again, become an expert at that. And that's where a lot of businesses kind of fall. So once you have fulfillment and client success dialed, the next big thing is building a team around the fulfillment and the client success, and then systemizing and productizing your business. This is the beautiful thing about having a solution that you provide to businesses, instead of just being kind of like a vendor and offering everything custom to each person. When you're just a vendor and you're offering everything custom to each person, it's very hard to build a team around that, because you don't have a system in place, right? It's, that's where you kind of get stuck with managing your team. You kind of have to tell them exactly what to do every single day. Whereas if everything is just systemized, then it's pretty easy. It's not easy, but it's just like you don't really have to tell them what to do, because it's the same thing over and over and over again. Think about this. Ford, right? The massive car company. Before they created the assembly line, they were creating cars manually. And before they had a system to actually create the cars, I'm sure there was like a manager who had to tell each person where the parts pretty much go. And well, that's not scalable at all, right? So they could probably only produce like a few cars per month, let's just say. I don't know the specifics, because a person had to tell each individual where the parts had to go. But eventually they created this assembly line that was just the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So instead of making 5 cars per month, they're now making 5,000 cars per month, right? So I hope that made a little bit of sense, but basically it's like you want to first develop a solution that works for businesses. Once you have that solution, you build a team around that solution, and then you systemize that solution, and you productize that solution. And that's how you can grow, okay? So we're gonna make sure that you build a team. We systemize everything. Now, what are specific team members that you'll need? Well, you'll obviously need editors. You'll need a quality control person to quality control all of your editors. You'll need a personal VA just to help you pretty much just like do a bunch of things that you shouldn't be doing, a personal VA. You'll need an operations manager to just overall make sure that operations are running smoothly. They're gonna be the ones managing your project management, tools, whatever it's ClickUp, whether it's Notion, whether it's Asana. They'll also be kind of overseeing the editors as well, making sure that everything is just in place, everything is on time, and just overall keeping the structure and the internals of your business running smoothly. And then you'll also need a copywriter and a media buyer, depending on what your service is. A copywriter to write all the scripts for your clients, and also the ad creatives for your clients, and then a media buyer to help you run the ads for your clients. And depending at scale, if you're going to scale above $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per month, then you'll also need to start hiring shooters. So basically people to actually go out to your clients and shoot the content. And once you have that in place, then from there, it's literally just repeating the theory of constraints. So let's just say that you check everything off. If you check everything off, you will hit a $30,000 per month and beyond. And then from there, it's all about just rinse and repeating. Okay, what's my theory of constraint? What's the one thing that if I solved and that if I put all my time and focus on will allow this company to grow? Once you figure that out, you put all of your time and energy into solving that constraint. If you want help implementing this checklist inside of your business, then just click the link down below, watch the quick video, which basically explains everything that we do, who we help, and how we help them. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.